Agnes, and now I would like to take us all to Turkey and ask Furkan Özkan for the word.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for CEATL for the invitation too. I didn't prepare any presentation too, but I'm gonna summarize the topic about Turkey, and there will be sample books translations, and there will be a comparison between similarities Turkey and the European Union countries in terms of freedom of speech. The current state of freedom of speech in Turkey is actually not good for any of the parties in the population. What I mean here, the ruling party draws boundaries of freedom of speech for everyone, even for the pro-ruling party supporters. So the government imposes what to talk about, what not to talk about for the citizens. It doesn't matter you are a supporter, it doesn't matter you are in the opposition side. So, and these topics can be various. It can be about the political situation, traditional societal cleavages in Turkey, crimes, religion, and the political decisions, of course. And the ruling party tries to impose what to talk about, as I said, and trying to set even what to criticize and what not to criticize. And if you exceed the limits set by the ruling party, you can get arrested and be jailed pending trial, whether you are a translator, whether you are a writer, or you are a citizen. So there are three main points showing how the ruling party controls freedom of speech. I know that we want to limit the debate to books. However, without explaining the overall situation about this social engineering, it will be hard to understand why generally journalists' books are banned or why there are files against some of the books. So the government is controlling social media and the internet. In 2022, the ruling party passed a law, so-called disinformation law, and this law introduced a provision into Turkish penal code saying propagation of false or misleading information contrary to the internal and external security of the country and likely to harm public health, disturb public order, spread fear or panic among the population is punishable by 1 to 3 years in prison. As you can see, this law can be interpreted easily in a way that the judge can think that, okay, you violated this law and you can get punishment. So this is one side of it. And of course, after this passing of the law, a total of 46 investigations were conducted against 40 journalists. 5 websites were blocked, and a lot of news contents were blocked based on the URL. And there is another part of social engineering. The government is paying the real people, the social media trolls and bots, so that they can direct the people's opinion about the certain matters or direct them to support the government's decisions or any political, especially foreign political decisions of the government. And also they have been doing that to impose what is acceptable and what is not acceptable from their world view. From almost the very beginning, the members of the ruling party have been telling that they couldn't conquer the Turkey's cultural scene, which has been predominantly influenced by the secular side of the country. They said that the cultural hegemony could not be broken and they need more time. Therefore, alongside the first 2 steps, and actually very similar to Hungary's distribution company acquiring by the state, you are following Turkey, don't follow. The pro-ruling party company acquired a big bookshop chain with all its bookstores almost in all cities of Turkey and with a lot of websites, book websites. And so they have the chain now with physical stores and many different websites. So, of course, they also own their own publishers, which are more promoted in these stores and in their websites. And some of the books, translators and writers are censored or not promoted in these stores. When you ask you about a certain book, let's say, you cannot find in the shelf. They bring it from the depot, so they are not visible. And of course, the writers and the publishing houses, which are pro-ruling parties, pro-ruling party, are more visible in these shops. Of course, by doing this, they wanted to control a part of the publishing world with the aim of making their cultural hegemony stronger. So there are some books and translations. Of course, there are two different methods that I can say. One of them is the classical method. Yeah, they file a suit against the writers, translators, or books, and they ban the book or they confiscate the books. So this is the old traditional method. And in 2023, and by the way, so far, from the beginning of the tenure of the ruling parties, more than 700 books were banned or confiscated till today. And alongside these books, of course, there are journals, there are newspapers, and 1 million of websites or like URLs are blocked, let's say. Not websites, maybe URLs blocked, the pages. For example, there are some books banned or sued with claims that they are making propaganda of a terrorist organization, and 2 books by author Murat Kahraman was confiscated when the court verdicted that there are propaganda of a terrorist organization in the books, and still you cannot find these books. They were banned and confiscated. Also, interestingly, there is, by the way, I got all of this information from the Turkish Association of Publishers. They are publishing a report for the status of publishers in each year and freedom of speech in each year in Turkey. So there is a really interesting event. In 2022, a Turkish state railways lawyer was exiled following a complaint that Selahattin Demirtaş's book Leylan was found in his drawer. So someone finds this book in his drawer and complained, and unfortunately lawyer was exiled. So as you can see, this complaint and this complaints culture in Turkey is really harmful to people's daily life. And there is another interesting issue regarding the Islam. As a result of an application by Presidents of Religious Affairs of Turkey against the work of theologian, writer İhsan Eli Açık, entitled Living Quran and Interpretation in Turkish, on the grounds that the book contains objectionable elements in terms of the main fundamentals of Islam. In February 2023, the printing and distribution of the book banned and the copies were confiscated. So the ruling party is not even supporting any type of other interpretation of Islam, and they are trying to impose their way. There is another case against a fictional universe for writers Yavuz Ekinci's novel, Those Whose Dreams Were Interrupted. The book itself was printed 2014, and unfortunately it was ordered to be confiscated upon the request of the Istanbul public prosecutor in 2021. Today, even like this is still ongoing, the case is still ongoing, and the book unfortunately cannot be found, and it was confiscated. Another interesting method, in Turkey we have a board for the protection of minors from obscene publications, established in 1927, still active. And now it works under the Ministry of Family, Labor and Social Services today. And in 2023 and 24, 8 books were declared obscene. And when they declare a book as obscene, you need to put a sign inside of the book saying that it is harmful to minors. You can only sell like that, and you need to cover it with plastic cover. So like you can sell it like that, or you cannot sell. Some of the books whose translations were declared obscene, Janet Winterson's Sexing the Cherry, Christine Baldacchino's Maurice Micklewhite and the Tangerine Dress, Kathy Akers' Blood and Guts in High School, Ben Brooks' Stories for Boys Who Dare to Be Different, Rowan Kosinski, New Guest of the Naughty House. And for example, although one of our colleagues was acquitted in 2024, the prosecutor initially asked for her imprisonment up to 3 years. She was a translator, and she was accused of being mediator, being helper of dissemination of an obscene book. Unfortunately, translators are sued too because of that. So nothing has changed on the Eastern Front, I can say, but there is a distinct change on the Western Front. It is visible from Turkey. What I mean that it is very important to understand how politicians from all over the world today control freedoms of speech, even in countries we think the most progressive and democratic. Turkey has never been a place where you can express or publish your opinion very freely. On the other hand, European countries and of course other countries in the world starts to apply similar practices as Turkey has been doing to redesign the freedom of speech. I should say that in the practices of the European Union, you can see the effects of the cancel culture as well, which I find really interesting. The ruling parties in Europe especially try to shape and draw the boundaries of the freedom of speech according to their agenda in the foreign policy especially. And restrictions do not apply only publishing, it also applies to which country will participate in Olympic Games, which country should be supported in public. Very important example, a ceremony scheduled for the Frankfurt Book Fair, at which a Palestinian author, Adana Shibli, was to receive a prestigious award, has been cancelled. Yeah? And yesterday, they told that they are giving place for far-right opinion in Frankfurt Book Fair even. So then they couldn't give an award a Palestinian author, maybe worse than a far-right. So I will not even talk about the words and methods preferred in the headlines of the prominent US and European newspapers just to show that they support Israel, or how the police violently attacked the pro-Palestinian protests in many European cities. So, and how there is no condemn on Israel's atrocities while they condemn Russian atrocities. Atrocities should be condemned irrespective of the parties committing the crime. As I said before, as a Turkish, we have been seeing very similar practices by the Turkish governments to redesign the freedom of speech. And I wouldn't believe that Europe would restrict freedom of speech like this, so welcome to the club. You won't feel easy to express your real opinions. We got used to going around the bushes. You will get used to it too. A fair warning from a Turkish citizen. If you don't want to speak about how the freedom of speech deteriorates in your own countries in our next conferences, you should consider criticizing your ruling parties that are telling you what to talk about. There will be problems regarding freedom of speech as long as its boundaries are set by the governments and the government's ideological positions. We are free to speak as much as these boundaries are low, and unfortunately, they are these days protected very well. Thank you very much.